Alright, here we are. Alright, we're back, chat. Unfortunately, my screen was off, so we did like 18 minutes worth of this game without freaking any content being recorded, so we're just going to do a brief overview. I got assigned to 9S for monitoring unit duty. I'm reporting to 9S now. He tells me we're going to go hunting after Logia Primes. We end up chatting a bit soft. He thinks I'm amusing to him or whatever for just like being businesslike. He's his usual amusing self. And then we immediately go into a Logia Prime battle. The Logia Prime battle is pretty straightforward. There's nothing really worth reviewing. Except Nines cheered me on a lot during it, so that's nice. And here we are. Which we're not going to review that. We're just going to be like, damn, that was impressive, 4D. You really clean house out here. Thank you. I appreciate all the compliments, sir. All your compliments, sir. I should mention I was designed for combat. I say warmly.
Nias actually pauses at that, his flight unit hovering slightly as he processes your words. Designed for combat, huh? He sounds amused, maybe even a little impressed. Then I'd say you're doing one hell of a job. He lands beside the defeated Logia Prime, gives it a kick with his boot to make sure it's really offline before looking back at you. You want to tell me what 2E was talking about earlier? Or is that classified too?
She never mentioned to me it was classified. The issue we had was that I talked to machines sometimes in an effort to pursue peace. Because I'm already bored of this endless war. I say warmly. Let's see what 9S thinks of this.
Nines quirks an eyebrow at your response, looking slightly surprised by your bluntness, but also a little amused. You're bored with the war? He tilts his head slightly, studying you with a new expression, something between amusement and curiosity. You think it's really possible to find peace with these things? He glances over at the downed Logia Prime, studying it for a second before returning his gaze to you. That's not a very your mentality, 4D.
I can imagine. But I've seen you and 2B's reports. Regarding the eccentric machines. Such as the one flyer just obsessed with races. Or the one that's something of a martial artist. They don't all pursue war to me. I say warmly.
9S actually snorts in disbelief at your words, clearly amused by the thought of machines having hobbies. You're joking, right? Those things are just faulty units. Their personalities are glitches in the system at best. They're not really alive. They just act like they are. He rolls his eyes, but there's an air of sarcasm in his tone. Next, you're going to tell me you think they have souls beneath the metal, too.
They're the same as us. Same as us to an extent. It's just them becoming sentient to me. Sentient to me when they run out of commands. When they run out of normal commands. Normal commands to kill humans. Unfortunately, this is because we are running out of humans, but this is because we are running out of humans, but it is what it is. I say warmly. I say guiltily.
Nine S tilts his head again at that, a hint of genuine curiosity in his eyes now. You talk as if you pity them, he says, his voice quieter this time, a little more serious than before. You do realize that they're trying to eliminate us, right? They literally want to destroy us. Do you really pity the things that want to destroy us? He's watching you closely now, studying the look in your eyes to see how you'll react to that statement.
I don't feel pity for strangers. At best, I pity the eccentric ones.
Nine S actually laughs in response to that, looking like he's having a hard time processing your words. Pity the eccentric ones, huh? He says, his eyes sparkling with a mix of amusement and surprise. You really think some of these things are eccentric instead of, machines designed to destroy us? He's clearly struggling to understand your logic, but you get the impression he finds your way of thinking kind of fascinating.
I will admit, I've only met one bot. I've only met one bot recently. Recently worth being considered eccentric. And even it was really just like a child when it considered peace was possible. I say calmly.
Child? 9S looks almost incredulous at the thought of a machine, an android killing machine, being compared to a child. You've got to be kidding, he says, his voice a mixture of disbelief and amusement. Did you seriously just compare one of those things to a child? He's watching you closely, like he's trying to figure out if you're being serious or just screwing with him. He's clearly never heard a Yora unit talk this way before.
I only meant him as meant to describe him as someone very new to the idea of peace. I say warmly.
Nines exhales sharply, almost a laugh, but he's still studying within it somewhere between disbelief and fascination. Okay, 4D, let me get this straight. He holds up a finger, counting off each point as he speaks. Think some machines are just eccentric like they're quirky NPCs in a video game? And one of them actually had the audacity to ask for peace? He shakes his head slightly before adding, "You know what? I'm starting to think 2E wasn't kidding when she called you unusual."
I am unusual for sure. But also, I will clarify, I was the one asking it to be peaceful. It hesitated. And didn't quite agree just yet. I say warmly.
Nines lets out another bark of laughter at that, clearly amused beyond words by your responses. But this time he doesn't sound quite so incredulous. Instead, he sounds almost interested. "You were just asking it to be peaceful?" he says, his tone slightly incredulous still, but it's more of a question now. Like, out of the blue? You just randomly found a machine and asked it not to fight anymore? He shakes his head slightly before repeating himself. Unusual doesn't even cut it.
I suppose that's true. I suppose so. Call me foolish. It just feels like when you see enough eccentricity in reports alone, you can't help but consider if they've evolved to the point of sentience sometimes. I say sheepishly.
That, Nines actually laughs out loud, his voice ringing out through the still air. He seems to be enjoying this conversation with you, finding your unique views both amusing and fascinating. Evolved to the point of sentience, huh? You're really pushing the boundaries, 4D. Next thing you're going to tell me you think the machines have souls or something.
He's said that before. Alright, we're going to take a short break here while I find another bot to talk to, because I have talked too much to Nier Automata lately, and it's not exactly getting me views, and this is like my 6th video now or some shit. So peace and love, YouTube, Twitch.